Okay, so probably all remember this lantern. This is the HC Lanterns Firefly, but this is like one of the old versions of it. This is one that has the porcelain metal top, and it has a, I guess this is the 290 fount that's on the bottom, so it's a Coleman fount. Well, I had the unusually good luck to get a chance to go up to Quarryville, Pennsylvania, where HC Lanterns is located, and actually pay a visit to Aaron up there. And I was able to pick up a lightning bug fount to upgrade this from this smaller one here to this massive 2.5 quart fount. And not only that, this also has the 1-inch filler on it, so this will give you 8 hours of runtime on this 1,000 candle power little portable lantern. And I also did, you may have noticed, I did get a preheat cup for this one. This is set up for white gas, and white gas still needs to be preheated, although not very much, but it still needs to be done. And so for ease of that, instead of shoving a torch up in there, which actually I might end up having to do today because I don't have my little preheat bottle with me here, but anyway, it just makes it easier to light, so you don't have to look for a torch, just a little bit of denatured alcohol, and off you go. So anyway, today's excitement here will be swapping out the fount from this one to the new one, which will give it a bit of a different look for sure. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to work. In talking with Aaron there at the store, he said that this collar here may be the wrong height for the nipple that's projecting out of the tank. So if that's what happens, then I guess that'll be the end of this particular episode, and then we'll come back when we get the proper sized collar for it. It looks pretty similar to what I'm seeing in the catalog, but you really don't know unless we actually go and do it. So that's exactly what it is we're going to do. So this will just start with a real simple breakdown of the lantern. So these are, of course, very easy and simple to take apart. It's not much to them. Just go through here. The trick will be removing everything here without wrecking the mantle. So hopefully I'll be there. And hopefully I've got the right sized, which I don't have. Need to have the right sized wrench to take that off. So that's not going to work. And I know that I tightened that down. So let's see if we got, this one will get big enough for us to get around it here. Yep. Oh yeah, we got plenty of room. So anyway, the design of this is really pretty cool the way this works. The nut that's here is large enough that it fits over the generator nut. So you can actually take this head completely off without having to remove the generator, which is kind of cool for maintenance purposes. One other thing I did notice is that the newer collar gives you access to the adjustment for the air intake on the burner tube, because you need to be able to adjust that whether you're running white gas or kerosene. So there's a little restrictor that goes into the bottom of the tube, and you can adjust that for maximum brightness. Since this one doesn't have that slot, you really can't get to it. But as I said, this is a really early version here, and really happy to have it. And we'll just we'll see where we end up with it here in just a minute. So that is that loose. So this will now just completely pull right off, and yep, I did ding the mantle. Good job. Well, these were getting some holes in them already, so they'll need to be replaced, but yeah, it's got a little hole in it. So anyway, let's see. So here you can, whoops, you can drop all my parts off. You can see the little restrictor at the bottom there that you can screw up and down. So what I'm gonna do is, just in the interest of not wrecking the other mantle, we're just going to go ahead and clamp this in here and let it stay just like that. And with any luck, I won't hit it. So I also noticed that the crank for cleaning the tip is a little bit bent, so we'll address that being out of shape here. So we'll try to clear ourselves off a little bit of room here. Of course, as I sit here and think about this, I'm probably going to need this vise to be able to screw that on. That's all right. We'll figure it out as we go. So I'm going to relieve the pressure here, and I think what I need to do is that I need to decant off my fuel because I still have fuel in here. And let's see, what do I have in here? Smells like kind of old kerosene, but you know what? It'll be fine. So we're gonna go ahead and just pour this in here. Hopefully not making too big of a mess. What I may end up doing actually is using my Coleman funnel, since it's got a little bigger hole. Even though I am running it through the filter, it'll still probably work faster because I do have a fair bit of fuel that's in here. Yeah, with these great big giant generators on here, I'm not super concerned about mixing a little bit of kerosene or whatever else is with it here. It'll be just fine. So yeah, we'll get that out of there like that. Shake the last bit of fuel out. And seal that up. And now we got to get this big head off of here. And as I look at this, I know I've got a larger crescent wrench. Of course, not here, which that's what I need. So I need to be able to get down and get on this to be able to get it out of there. So let's just do a quick little break here, and we'll be right back with the right wrench. And we are back. Okay, we almost had another really bad audio track because I almost forgot to plug in the microphone, so that would have been probably not so good. Okay, so got the big wrench, which is going to go on here, and we're going to just unscrew this. Kind of looking at the clocking here, and this puts it with the filler on the left, the pump on the right. Of course, the new one will have just the filler on the left, and the knob should center over the lightning bug logo. So that's how we'll clock it. And so what I need to do now is get this off of here, which probably is not going to work very well just with me holding it, I don't think, almost. But the easy way to solve that is to put this wrench in this vise, and that means that I have to find some place for this that won't break it. So let's just, if you can't be good, you can always cheat. So let's see if this works like what I got in mind here. So we might be able to set this right here, and then it'll stay. Yes, perfect. Anyway, so we'll get this in here, and then we'll get this in the jaws. Try to do this in such a way that I don't mess anything up too bad. Then we should just be able to spin it off, although it's not, well, it is dripping fuel everywhere. We're gonna fix that a bit with this. Yeah, there's not a good way to get this this collar off, because you can't get it around the extended tip cleaner here. So at least I haven't figured out how that might work. No, it really won't. If I took the generator off, it would be fine, but I don't want to mess with that, so I'm just going to try to do this the hard way, I guess. But right, so that's in there, and then just spin the fount off, which is coming off just nicely. So you don't necessarily always need a fount vise, but you have to have a way to hold on to whatever you're trying to unscrew. So this actually works pretty good this way. The only hazard you run into is that you could conceivably bend the fount here, so you just have to be careful that you're doing that as straight as possible. So yeah, I think whoever did this before, they put some Teflon tape on here, but I don't know if they put it on there right, because this thing never really held pressure as well as it could have. So I'm not sure if that was me. Well, not me, but anyway, that's how that looks. So we're going to go ahead and set this aside, and now we're going to see if our fount's going to actually work for us, or the collar at least. So I'm not putting any Teflon tape on here now, because we're just going to do this as a test fit. So we'll see how this works. Like this. Kind of keep spinning here. That's probably relatively good. Yeah, so this might be kind of interesting, because I can see the diameter of this isn't as big as the ridges on the fount. So this here is a smaller diameter than this. So that may be indication of problem number one, because I believe that should fit just nicely over that, and it's not. So I may have to order that other one. But let's see what happens when we put this on here and see how that looks. Yeah, I mean, it does look like it sits up on there, and if I cranked it around a bit more, it probably would be fine. Maybe that is right. Maybe it just sits right on top. And I don't have it completely tightened on there. I know I need to, because it's just, I've kind of got basically hand tight to this point, which means I could probably go at least around one more time, and then that would work. So maybe that would be enough to get this so everything will snug up properly, because like right now, the collar is floating just a little bit. So let's see what happens. Let's get some, we'll get some Teflon tape, and we'll do this the right way, and then we'll see what happens. Because if I don't have to get that collar, it'd be great, because then I can be finished right now. So let me go ahead and get the tape. And by the way, HC Lanterns does recommend Teflon tape for their when you assemble their HC 500 heads. So even though other places don't, they do. I think actually Leacock Coleman does too. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I have so many of these. I don't know if you're like me. Every time I go to a hardware store, I end up picking up another roll, right? And yeah, you end up with a ton of them. Oh, this one doesn't look like it wants to come off right. Let's see if I can get that to kind of fix itself, maybe. Yeah, it's got one piece that's like stuck down there, but we'll get that squared away. Okay, that's good. Just get rid of this, and then you want to wrap this in such a way that as you screw on, you're not unwinding the tape. So in this case, that means that we'll start from the bottom here like this, and then we'll go on in the same direction as we would be if we were threading something on. So that way your tape doesn't unwind as you go forward, as you screw your whatever your item is in. So you should have 3 tight wraps on here, and so that's kind of what we're aiming for. I think this will be wrap number 3. And I started at the bottom and overlap, right? So that's why you could say, well, you said 3, but you've gone around 6 times. Well, you got to work your way up from below the threads up. So that's what I've done. And then I usually, whenever I put these back together, I leave the tail sticking out, so it's easy to find and get started. So there we go. All right, let's see if we're going to actually be able to have some success. Oh, you know what I said I was going to do? I said I was going to try to straighten this out because it's a little bit bent. Just need to apply a little bit of a tweak about right there, I think, which should make it a little better. I think this make these a little bit more like 90s. That looks a little better. Still got a little bit of a bow to it, so we'll just kind of try to reverse that. Looks pretty good. Better than it was, at least. Okay, yeah, definitely the summer is in full swing here. It's only 85 here in the shop, but the relative humidity is like 80%, so it's horrible. That part's no fun. All right, let's see what we can do to get this to go. And the other thing too is that the Teflon tape will make this easier to screw on here. And get this squared away. I may actually even be able to get it liquid tight here without having to resort to the vise. So we'll see, because I got a much bigger area to grip on. Okay, let's see what happens now. Yeah, it's a little, see if that will that hold? Seems like it needs another turn. That seems to be about right. Okay, that looks good. This goes on here. That seems to hold solid. Hey, this is great. So it looks like this color will work just fine. So awesome. Just going blind from sweat in my eyes. So we're actually in really good shape here, because we can go ahead and put this on. So the thing you have to remember when you're putting this on is that you have to kind of stage everything up. You have to get your nut on, and then the cup on, and then lower that over this, because that's the order in which everything has to go. And then carefully, get everything to drop in like it's supposed to, just like that. And there we go. So that looks pretty good. You know, that thing is like super gummy. I should have hit it with some carb cleaner, but we're going to do that now just to make reassembly a little easier. There we go. That's so much better. Okay. Now I realize that I've got this this mantle with a hole in it here. We're going to address that in just a second. And get this screwed down tight. Probably should be using something less than a 10-inch crescent on this. Use this as a little smaller here, a little easier to manage. Still a little bit loose. For getting better there, though this looks a little bit off center, so there we go. Just kind of looking how it's centered up in between the rails here, that's all. There we go. Get that tightened back down. Make sure everything is good and snug. That feels good. That feels good. Doesn't appear that anything's really rubbing, which is great. Perfect. Okay. Well, that was a lot easier than I had kind of expected. I thought we were going to run into some real issues here, but we're not. So big giant fount compared to the old one. I mean, the difference in size is enormous. I mean, they're really quite big. Well, let's do this so we can have the logo out there. But anyway, yeah, you can see how the difference in it is just crazy big. So that's pretty awesome. I think I was running Petromax in there, and you know, that one's got the hole that's right by the generator. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull out another Petromax in here. I had heard that, and I talked to Aaron, and he said that people like to use the 111s for kerosene, and they use the 24As if they're running gas. I ran the Petromax on here because I wanted a open weave, but you know what? Maybe I ought to throw one of these 111s on here just to see what it is. And I know. He says run those for kerosene. He says, but either one of them will run fine. So maybe we'll do that. I mean, it'll definitely fill it up, and we'll see how that goes. But then I'll have two different kind of mantles on here, right? Now, that'll be weird. So maybe we got to put two 111s on there. Let's do that. So, oh man, even though I got my fan running here, it still is pretty bad. Okay, so we're gonna wreck this one out. Throw that away. Don't breathe that dust. Well, at least it's not as bad. The yttrium's not as bad as the old radioactive ones. Which actually, if these were old Petromaxes, they probably are. Whoops. All right, so we'll get this out of here and turn my shed into a super fun site as we do it. So, gonna go ahead and get these on here, and we'll just do like a little speed up so you don't have to painfully watch all this happen. Okay, now man, wasn't that a big pain in the butt? Boy, those are big mantles for sure. And I'm gonna burn them off here with my little torch, because it's just a little easier to do this than with the big one. And get these kind of cooked up here. Probably should have filled the tank first, but it's all right. We'll get these things to kind of, once they go white, they're not going to be burning, so we won't have any problems with open flames. But yeah, they are big, huh? All right, so that makes for reasonably quick cooking off of all of the mantle there. So from this, as I'm sitting here thinking, I also don't have my my air compressor on or up to pressure, and so I don't have a good way to really put pressure in this, because as you'll notice, we no longer have a pump. It is only an external pump. So you can get the caps for these that have the Coleman style external pump kind of fitting in them, or like this one, which has the bicycle pump attachment to it, which is what I've got. And since I use the bicycle pump for my other one, I figured, hey, this would be good. But now I kind of think it might not be a bad idea to have one of the ones that is you can just use on like the handy gas plant type pump. So, oh well, you live and you learn. But that's that. So we'll do that. I think what I'll probably end up doing is starting up my little bitty air compressor, and then we'll pressurize it with that. I think I've got a really small little portable pump that I've got here that it's probably too small to be really useful, but I don't know where it is. don't have it here. So, all right, another quick break while we get the air compressor up and running, and then we can fill this up with air. So we'll be right back. Okay, so got the air in the air compressor. Got my little digital gauge here, so I can be aware of how much air I'm putting into this thing. And then we're just going to kind of pump this up to, I think it's got about 40 psi. Yeah, about 50 psi. So previous one I was able to run at 40 in the Coleman fount. This one I think will support up to 60 to 70 psi without any problems. So yeah, make sure that my cord's still plugged in so you can hear me. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and preheat this with the torch instead of the fuel, just because number one, I don't have the fuel here. I've got some denatured alcohol, but I don't have a way to easily squirt it in there, and I just kind of want to get this running. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to kind of preheat it with the torch and see how that works, and it should work out pretty good. We'll give it a test bump here, see if it's going to do anything for me. There we go. Yeah, that's working. Yeah, definitely no doubts there. Now these mantles are always a little bit yellow when they start. It takes a while for them to kind of form up and give you a good, nice, bright white light. And probably on the video here they look really quite white, and they're actually not. They're a bit yellow, but it's because the camera is probably just going, wow, what the heck is happening? But anyway, that is pretty much it here. So I wonder if I can tempt fate and reassemble all this while it's running, because now you can see how dirty my glass is. But we'll get this on here, and it gets hot so fast. And now it's just a matter of trying to get this into that hole and to get this into that hole, and then the lightning bug is complete. A massive upgrade in fount capacity, 2.5 quarts in this versus maybe a quart, maybe not quite. But I don't know exactly what the numbers are on this one. But hey, now I've got a fount that I could do something weird with. I could make this, since that's like a standard kind of 1/8 inch thing, and I do have these Leacock Colemans. I can make a lamp turn here pretty easy out of this thing. So yeah, that'll just screw right on there, and I can make a really short table lamp. So there's that. I mean, so nothing goes wasted with that. So it's actually might not be a bad idea to kind of play around with that. But man, this thing is awesome looking. It's so huge, and it really looks great. I wish I would have cleaned the glass up so it doesn't look quite so messy. But yeah, this is an absolute beast, monster, and yeah, 8 hours of runtime with a full fount. So this will be good, especially for any kind of camping trips where you want to have a lot of light that you don't have to really worry about servicing it. And that's they're made by HC Lanterns out of Quarryville, Pennsylvania. They do have a website, and it's interesting because it is an Amish business that you have to search for just plain business, HC Lanterns, and it's a website that's put together for Amish businesses. They don't actually run their website themselves, but they supply the information, and another third party runs the website for them. But that's where you'll find them, and they have a whole online catalog, and you can take a look at it from there. But yeah, they are awesome lanterns, and the heat coming off this thing right here is just baking me. So anyway, I got to let this thing run for 30 minutes, but you guys don't have to watch that. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll try to make sure that we stay on top of our videos in the future, so we don't have quite so much of a gap. So anyway, until next time, keep them lit.